Hello, hello, hello. What's up, guys? Good morning. Good morning. Okay, we should be live on the YouTube as well now. Got Lord Tellum, we got Becker Draw. What's up, guys? Happy Friday to you too, my friend. Happy Friday. It's been a good week. Maton Frey, what's up, my friend? Hello, hello. That's from YouTube. Okay, let's go here to portfolio review. There we go. Maton Frey says, just finished my submission for the challenge. Awesome. Yeah, I've seen some submissions rolling in. I haven't taken the time to check them out all, to be honest, but I've seen that people are starting to submit, so that's great. That's great. One more week to go. We got till next Thursday. Next Thursday. Fuck. Ben Sloan, what's up, my friend? Do you mind if I ask where from the UK are you from? Because I might be visiting there soon. Like, I'm not saying that I'm gonna be able to meet you guys, but I might be going to the UK soon. It's interesting to see where people are from all around the world. Alice in Renderland, what's up? I'm always gonna say your what's the word? Your username is so fun. Manchester, northwest area. My wife, she's a huge fan of Scotland, so if we go, we're probably gonna be going over there. Let me see, UK. Looking at the map right now. Manchester. Okay, yeah. Oh, so Scotland is even further up. Damn. Lord Tellum says, I had some files get corrupted and I lost a bunch of progress. I'm not sure if I'll get done in time, but I'm still gonna try and get in for the competition. Yeah, man, go for it. Remember, like, because this is not a game-ready character, right? Like you don't require to you do require to do textures. But because you don't require to show like your wireframes or anything, you can get away with things like poly paint. You can get away with things like photo bashing, even, right? Like, so there are options for you in terms of the bleed render. So try to use that to your advantage. Buenas, maldita heladera. Buenas. I'm not gonna be speaking in Spanish today, guys. I'm gonna try to avoid Spanish as much as possible. And the reason is my throat is killing me. I like yesterday or 2 days ago, I woke up with like a sore throat. I don't know why, because I haven't talked too much this week, I think. And it hurts. It hurts like hell right now. But funnily enough, when you talk in English, you don't use the throat as much. It's like it's a language that lifts a little bit higher up on the mouth. So I find talking in English a lot easier, or at least not as intense as talking in Spanish. Cuando hablas en español, la voz como que baja un poquito en la garganta, entonces se siente más, no sé, difícil, supongo que por las R's. No, I need the ice cream. Not this week. Yeah, no, not this week. No, I'm not sure. Might have been like a virus or something. Tom97, thank you for the sub, my friend. 25 months. Thank you very much. Ave, did you watch The Odyssey yet? It's so good. Haven't watched it yet, but I've seen the reviews, and I also saw the reviews yesterday from Spider-Man. Seems like it's another great film as well. I'm really curious about both of them. But no, we haven't gone to the movies because I mean, you guys know I have a kid, right? She's 5 years old, so it's a little bit complicated to get the schedules to align. So we'll see. But yeah, definitely want to see that one. I saw with my wife. We saw the Demon Slayer movie, the Infinity Castle. So if you guys are like anime fans, oh, that one's really good. Don't spoil it. If you spoil something, I'll ban you. Okay. A couple more minutes before we start. I'm seeing someone writing on the portfolio presentation thing. I will let that person finish writing. If you're listening right now, I'm not gonna mention your name. But if you're listening right now, hurry up because I will be closing the submissions, and I'm only allowing that person. Okay, so I already know what the username is, and only that username is gonna be able to submit as the final portfolio for today. I will warn you though, guys. If my throat starts like really killing me, I might need to stop the stream a little bit earlier today, and we'll finish it on like Sunday, I think. Okay. Yeah, no, don't worry, David. Like you see someone writing, right? Again, I think you can see who is. There you go. There you go. Now we can close it. Now this is closed. So close and lock. There you go. So congratulations, Laura Art. Laura Salazar, you were able to get in there as the last little portfolio for today. So again, I will try to get through all of them, guys. As you know, portfolio review tends to be a long stream. Sometimes it's like 4 hours. But if my throat just like starts fighting against me, I might need to stop it, and we'll do it in 2 parts. Okay, we'll do half of them today, and then we'll do the other half on Sunday probably. And the reason again is I want to make sure that I have as much energy and as much a spark as possible, so that you guys get the best possible review and the best possible information for your stuff. Okay. Now I'm wondering, should we stream on TikTok or not? I like streaming on TikTok, but I don't like the TikTok streaming platform. You know, last time we got like a warning because apparently we were showing nudity. I don't know if that's what I want to stream. Yeah, it's weird. Now, yeah, for the sake of protecting the account, we will not stream on TikTok today, the portfolio review, because I don't know what kind of stuff we might find. So we'll just focus here on YouTube and Twitch. Okay, cool. I think we are ready. So, how's the music? Is it a good volume? Hello, everyone, and welcome to another Friday live stream here on the YouTube channel, on Leal 3D YouTube channel. I want to, of course, thank our team here that makes all of these amazing things possible. Our good friend Alan, who's in charge of the editing. He made these very cool transitions that you see right here when we go from one to the other. That was Alan's work. He's already working on some stuff that we're going to be using for next week's for the contest, right? Oh, next week's also going to be a long stream as well, because we're going to go through all of the submissions, and that's going to be like a really big submissions, right? So it's going to be like a long time. And of course, our good friend David here is also on the house. David is our main team member here on the team. He is in charge of making sure you guys have a great experience on Discord, and he helps us with all of the things regarding like social media and more. Like, David does so much work that you guys don't see. So big shout out, and please everyone give a huge what's the word, like a congratulations or salute to both Alan and Sarn here. Now today, as you guys know, most of you already know about this, every single month at the end of the month we do a portfolio review. And portfolio review is a series. We've been doing this for the past 3 years. How many have we reviewed so far, Alan? You did the calculation a couple of months ago. I think it was like 500 portfolios or more like that. I don't know, because we do know more than that, like 800, I think. Let's see. Yeah, it was a huge number. So we've done like 30 portfolios per month for the past like 24 months. So yeah, it's like 600, 800. Like, it's been a lot. We've seen so many portfolios in this channel. So I'm gonna answer some of the questions, especially for those who are new that you guys might have. It is free to send your portfolio. The only thing you need to do is join our Discord channel. So if you go here to our Discord channel, and you go down here to where it says portfolio review. This is where we submit for portfolio review. Every single month we'll submit or we'll open going to be near my birthday. So that's going to be on August 28th. My birthday is on the 30th. So we're going to have next portfolio review at the end of August next month. Okay. So if you missed today, like if you weren't able to get your portfolio for today, don't worry. We will have that available for you guys next month. Okay. Now there are a couple of rules and it's very important. You can go to any of the previous portfolio reviews and check the rules. The rules are exactly the same. We haven't changed them really or adjusted them so far. So it's this special portfolio review dynamic that we have here on the channel is meant for people who are about to graduate, just graduated, have been on the industry for a couple of years, and need that little bit of extra push to land a job or an opportunity working as part of an indie studio, a AAA studio, like any type of studio. We've had several success stories here on the channel. Like there's people who have been able to get more interviews and more information thanks to the portfolio reviews. So I think it's very valuable. And as I've mentioned before, you will learn not only from your portfolio reviews submission, you will learn from other people's as well, right? So when you see someone else doing really, really good things, then you're going to be able to adapt or adopt some of those elements into your own work. And when you see some people like making really big mistakes, you will try to avoid those. So that's one of the big things about us as humans and as artists, the fact that we can learn so much from each other. And that's why I find this portfolio reviews to be so valuable. So today we are going to start with Ben's loan. If you missed the portfolio review, don't worry. Again, here on the information, we have a second channel here on YouTube called Leal 3D Clips. And in that one, we give each specific portfolio its own video, and it airs on the month after the portfolio review. So if you want to check them out, it's on this other channel right here. Again, Leal 3D Clips that you can check on YouTube too. So let's start with Ben. Ben says, I graduated with a degree in games art just last month, currently trying my luck in the industry. I've applied for many jobs inside my country, the UK, really chasing a job as an asset artist, vehicle artist, weapons, etc. My work focuses on creating hard surface props and hero assets. The one vehicle I'm for currently is my first attempt at the one, and I'm very keen on making more in the future. From chats I have with other artists and people from the other discipline from students, it seems like I'm on a decent trajectory. I guess I'd like some feedback and if you believe this pathway is realistic at the moment for me. And what do you think I could do to increase my chance in getting hard surface work as a graduate junior? I've also branched out in freelance and visualization work, but of course, we all want the industry. Yeah, of course. So, first of all, absolutely nothing wrong, my friend. Absolutely. Oh, give me 1 second here. Absolutely nothing wrong with branching out. I've mentioned this before, and I will continue to mention this. We were, it's not that we were sold or anything, it's just that for a long time most people that got into this industry, right, like into the entertainment industry, we only thought about the big guys, right, like the big studios, the big movies. And nowadays there's so many opportunities out there where your skills can be used, you can make a living, you can enjoy, you can be creative, even if the projects are not as big or as global as we might want, right? So absolutely nothing wrong with branching out, freelancing, or working in things that are 3D related, but maybe not necessarily entertainment industry related, okay? So let's take a look. This looks very nice. Okay. Cool textures. Okay. Nice. I love this one. The only thing I would recommend for this one is a wireframe. This is a great piece here, my friend, Ben. I really like it. It has some like nice, interesting shapes and curvatures. The textures are quite nice. There's a little bit of distortion. It can be avoided if we try some like different UV techniques or approaches. It's not again the end of the world, but just keep that in mind. I love the again like the height or the bump information here, the normal information. So this one's really nice. But yeah, like definitely show a wireframe, especially for hard surface artists or hard surface models in film stuff. Having what's the word? Wireframes is going to be really important to showcase that you can that you know how to properly model, right? Like with subdivision modifiers and all that kind of stuff. Okay, so this is good. I like this one as well. I think you have a good understanding of the texturing process. I like the attention to detail. You know, the little scratches, the little effects, the damage, the wear. UVs are fine. Yeah, so for like a hero prop, right? So if this is gonna be like a hero prop, like a very important asset, having as many elements as you have right there is perfectly fine. The only thing I don't want to say criticize or complain about, because it's not really a complaint. Like this is okay. I've mentioned this before. Is just the try count, right? So this particular asset right now is at 38,000 triangles. If it's a, you know how in games sometimes you can like analyze a model and sort of like move it around and look for a clue or whatever. If it's that model, then this is perfectly fine, because usually when you do that, you're inside of a menu and it's the only 3D model that you're seeing, so you're not gonna like you're not gonna push the engine or the game like too far or too high, and it's fine. However, this one right here is definitely a little bit on the high side of things if it's gonna be on the world, right? Like imagine this is gonna be like in GTA and you're gonna grab it and use it or whatever. It's definitely a little bit too high, right? And we've mentioned this before. In the case of cylinders, what you want to do is you want to reduce all of the sides that we have right here. Like we don't need as many sides. Yes, it's gonna give you a really nice clean curvature, but you don't really need all that information. Same for the bevels, right? So for instance, here on this bevel right here, we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 divisions on the bevel. You could probably get away with 5. Yes, it's going to look a little bit more faceted, but it's also going to be a little bit more optimized, right? I definitely think something like this for a game, especially if it's going to be in the game along with other 3D models, you can totally bring this down to like 8K triangles or something like that. It's a matter of optimization. Now, again, I would not recommend you go back to this one and do that. I would just recommend you show another piece where you can really like reduce the amount of triangles, so that if a recruiter sees your portfolio, they're like, oh, okay, this one's a little bit high, but I saw another piece of his where it's very low, so he knows how to optimize. So if I ask Ben here to optimize this, he will know how to do it. Okay, so that's great. Oh, I love this ones. Yeah, this is great as well. As you can see, this is a lot. This is even like smoother or not smoother, like a little bit less dense. I still think you can optimize it a little bit more on the UV side of things, or the UV side of things, on the topology side of things. My rule of thumb is the smaller the element, the less detail you need, right? So for instance, we have this guy right here. It's way too dense, right? Like way too dense for such a simple piece that when you compare it to the rest of the element, you're not going to see as much. Again, this is 17,000 triangles just for the rim, right? So it's not the end of the world. Just keep it in mind, and I would probably recommend, if you could, to try to do a couple more models where you optimize things a little bit more. As someone is mentioning here on the comments, a lot of these ones seem to be more like a meat poly element, which is, again, it's fine. Like most like Call of Duties or Battlefields might use like this amount of resolution, but you don't need to have this much information on something, for instance, as simple as this guy right here. So see that little side right there? Like you're never gonna see this bevel right there. So the smaller the piece, the more optimal you can make, or the more optimized you can make something. Keep in mind also that the normal map is going to help you to capture those curvatures, so that's why you don't need as many of those like tiny bevels. But as you mentioned on your comment, if you've shown this to other people and they've given you this very nice feedback of you going in the right direction, I agree. Especially as a recent graduate, you are definitely on the right direction. You have the necessary information and the skills. My advice, and I've mentioned this before, especially for you if you want to do hard surface stuff, is try to do things that are not as common, okay? So for instance, rims, even though they're a really good exercise, I would probably not do rims as much. Let me lower the volume here a little bit. There you go. I would not do as many rims, because these are the kind of stuff that unfortunately AI is going to be taking over. And even if we fight against it, and we're going to be fighting against it, studios will not pay you, let's say, the equivalent of 3 days of work for you to generate or for you to create one of these assets, when they can just buy it online or generate it quickly with, like, again, like an AI stuff. But if you look for like sci-fi robot concepts, right? The problem with this ones is that even if they use AI, the stuff that AI is going to generate with this kind of things is very bad. Like, you're still going to have to clean a lot of stuff up. So my advice would be, try to work on more complex elements, right, that require like really good control of the sort of like poly modeling techniques, because this is the kind of stuff that AI will not be able to match. Why? Because it's very complex, right? Like all of the pistons, all of the elements, all of the different like bolts and connections. AI is just gonna make a blob, like a mesh, and it's gonna try to what's the word, to merge everything together, and it's not going to be able to be animated. So that's where you come in, right? Like that's where you as an artist, you know how to think about all of those different elements and create the necessary things for a production. So my advice for you in particular, Ben, go for more complex and more unique concepts rather than staying on very common things that we could potentially find online. Okay. MR3D is also saying something very important. It says, try not to model. It's not that it's wrong. Like, if you already modeled, that's fine. Like, it's not going to hurt your portfolio. But try not to model things that can be photo scanned as well. Because if you're working for Lamborghini, you might get access to going to the factory and grabbing like a photogrammetry tool and just like scanning all of the pieces. And then you just need to do retopology and clean them up. So at that point, it's just manual tedious work, right? It's not artistic work where you need to sort of like figure out things. So just be aware of that, right? If something can easily be like produced, sometimes you're like, I had this a couple of years ago where a client would send me pieces. Actually, I have one. I can't show you right now, but a client a couple of weeks ago actually sent me a piece that he wanted to 3D print, and he had CAD modeled it. And if you know CAD, they use like NURBS and other types of like processes, right? Like, it's not polygons. So what I had to do, or what I was like pitching for me to do, is, hey, I'm gonna take this into ZBrush, probably Dynamesh it, clean it up, like make sure that it follows the proper flow, and then we'll 3D print it, right? At the end, like, that client didn't like that work didn't happen. But my point is, there's a lot of things that are already done, and if they're already done, then your work as a modeler, it's not really going to be as important. So that's why I recommend, especially as a hard surface modeler, trying to go for things like this, things that are a little bit more unique and things that you won't find, or as MR3D Dev is saying right here, you won't be able to fold the scan as easily. Okay. So keep up with the good work, Ben. You're doing great. I love your attention to detail and textures. The presentation, top notch. Everyone learn from Ben in terms of presentation, because that's very, very clean. And now let's go with the next one. This is Samartha Sahu. Says, hi, Ave. Myself, Samartha Sahu. I've completed my course edits for game design and game development. My work is focusing on prop modeling and environment making. Let's take a look. Okay. So this is a little bit of organization advice, Samartha, and of course for everyone else. This is personally, I don't like when portfolios are organized in this like groups when you're starting out. Like, once you have, let's say, 100 pieces, then sure, like, definitely organize things into its own like categories, right? But here you have a group with 3 pieces, a group with 3 pieces, a group with 2 pieces, and a group with 6 pieces. So it's too little, like the amount of pieces per group is too small, and it doesn't allow me to see sort of like your whole like work, right? Again, this is personal stuff, and unfortunately, guys, this is something that you need to understand. When you send your portfolio, I've mentioned this before, when you send your portfolio, 80% of the times, the first person that's gonna see your portfolio might not be someone who is on the actual pipeline. It could be someone from HR. It could be someone who is maybe like even an intern, right? Like someone who's getting a bunch of portfolios, like hundreds of portfolios per day when the position opens. So you want to minimize the friction. You want to make sure that when you showcase your portfolio, the necessary important information is boom, right there. So in this case, if I'm reviewing again 100 portfolios per day, I'm going to have to start clicking here. I don't want to click. I just want to see, is Samarth good enough for what I'm looking for? And then if I see some pieces that are close to what we're looking for, I'll click on those pieces. But here, I might have to first click on the 3D artwork piece and then figure out if there's any piece here that catches my attention and then click on that one. I know it sounds very stupid that it's just one extra click, but believe me, guys, nowadays with how like flooded the hiring and position market is, you need to reduce as much friction as possible, okay? Second advice for you, my friend. If you don't want to be hired to do vector art, don't post vector art, right? Because I might see your portfolio and I might see this Kratos right here. I was like, oh, you know what? I think I want to make a shirt and this would look pretty cool in a shirt. And then I'm going to call you and it's like, hey, I want you to do work for me, but it's going to be vector work. And you're like, oh man, I want to do 3D work. I don't want to do vector work. Well, if you are not going to if you're not going to be an illustrator, if you don't want to pursue this or like illustration side of things, don't include illustration on your side, right? It's like maybe you are good at rigging, but if you don't want to be a rigger, you're not going to include rigs on your side, right? Because you can do this. Recently, I had a client, and I'm actually working with him right now. And he told me, hey, I need you to do or help me with this characters. We need characters, we need textures, we need this. And then he told me, can you rig and animate this wall? It's like, I told him I could, but I'm not a rigger. I'm not an animator. So I would not feel comfortable doing that. That's why it's not on my portfolio. If it's a necessity, like if there's no other option, sure, I'll do it. But I would strongly recommend you hire a rigger and an animator instead, because I don't have like the super polished skills the same way I do in modeling and texturing. So it's the same thing. If you don't have like the super high polished skills in illustration or vector art, my advice is don't include illustration and vector art. Okay. Now I've seen this dagger before. I think this is from a tutorial. I didn't want to do this. I thought we were gonna skip. I thought we were past this, my friends. I thought we were past this. And sorry, Samarth, I know you're the second one here, but I am gonna call you out. What the hell is this description, man? You know what this is? This is AI description. And if you are using AI to write a single paragraph of your portfolio, which is your presentation letter to the world, right? People are gonna know or have an impression of who you are, then this is just killing your opportunities. Look at what this says. This is a higher quality, realistic dagger created with a focus on material accuracy and fine surface detailing. The model features a worn metal blade with engraved elements and a leather wrap handle, emphasizing subtle imperfections to enhance realism. Designed as a game-ready asset, it includes optimized topology and carefully crafted textures to achieve strong visual fidelity in real-time rendering. Does that read like someone actually wrote it? No. Like, I would rather you just say, hey guys, I followed this tutorial, I had a lot of fun, I learned about texturing, and I created this dagger. Even if that's like a very casual and super simple, that at least tells me a little bit about yourself. Like, how do you normally sort of like present yourself, right? This just tells me that you took this image into Gemini or ChatGPT and say, describe this image, and boom, you get this, right? I don't like that, man. I don't like that. I find that to be almost disrespectful to yourself, first of all, right? Because you spent time on this, and actually you did a decent job. Like, I love the fact that you were able to, for instance, integrate it here inside of Unreal and actually show how it would look in the game. So this is great. Like, not a lot of people go through the full sort of like pipeline all the way to Unreal. But then you're killing your own opportunities by having this like AI generated description. There's absolutely no reason why you can't spend 5 minutes to do that. Now, you might tell me, oh, you know what? English is not my first language, so I want to make sure that I'm not writing something that's wrong. That's where you use AI for. You write it the way you would word it, the kind of stuff that you would like to do it, or even write it on your own language, right? And then tell AI, hey, please translate this, keep my same tone, keep my same like information, and just give me the translation of this little paragraph that I wrote. And AI is going to do a good job. Of course, you double check and everything, but this is the kind of stuff that you don't want to leave to AI, man. Like, it just feels very, very lazy. And when I see something lazy on the description, that again gives me an impression of who you might be. And I'm not calling you lazy because I don't know you, right? But if I don't see that you're spending, again, at least 5 minutes just to write a nice description for your piece, oh, it's difficult, right? It's complicated. Let's take a look at this one. Okay, so this is interesting. This is your render, your final render, and this is the concept art. First of all, colors are a little bit off. This one's are a little bit more desaturated. Yours are a little bit more contrasty. The shape of the house is really, really, really different. This one is a tall house, and it has like a different like proportion. This one right here has a little bit more stylization, a little bit more curvature, right? The size of the house compared to the frame is also quite different, right? So those are the kind of things that you need to look for when you're building this kind of like elements. Again, I applaud the fact that you were able to do the full scene. It's not easy to do a full scene, especially inside of Unreal with all of those like nice little effects and everything. That's cool. It's fun, and again, I congratulate you on that. But we gotta be careful with really maintaining the quality that we see on the concept. So for instance, see how flat your rooftop looks? Silhouette is one of the most important things, and if you're using Unreal, which I think you are, you could potentially even use nanite. So if you're worried about like the geometry density of every single shingle, don't be, because again, we can use nanite and create something that looks a lot better. I will be talking a little bit about Unreal in the next couple of weeks on the channel, because that's one thing that I'm seeing. People are not really utilizing the tools that we have inside of the engine to really make things look, well, the best they can. So we gotta be careful there. Now let me take a look at another 3D piece. This one's better. Even the presentation improved a little bit. I do think it's a little bit dark here, Samarth. So So be careful with that. And again, we're missing things like the wireframe, right? To appreciate how you created this thing right here. I'm not gonna mention this again, but yeah, like, come on. now you know that it's not a good idea to just like let the what's the word? Let the element or the let the AI like write your prompt, like, or the descriptions. And here's the thing, I'm not sure if no one told you about this, but all of these pieces, they've been uploaded at different intervals, right? Time intervals, and you're still doing this. So that tells me that no one has corrected you on that. I will correct you. I will tell you, hey, try not to do that, okay? Drog, thank you for the sub, my friend. Thank you. These are mostly from tutorials, though. Yeah, that's another one that we need to talk about. So, a common question I get is it okay to use a tutorial piece for my portfolio? And the answer is yes and no. If your result is really good, sure. A couple of weeks ago, I showed someone who did the hand-painted gores. He even got featured on Marmoset, on the Marmoset page, because he did the pirate. He did an amazing job. At that point, sure, share it. It's amazing. You did a great job. But most of the time when we're doing a tutorial, we're learning the process. So you have two options when following a tutorial. These are the options that I follow myself when I'm learning something new. Option number one, as you're following a tutorial, instead of picking the exact same concept that someone picked, pick something similar to that concept so that you can use the same tools and extrapolate them to the concept that you're working on, and you will get a different result than the tutorial, and therefore it's going to be better for your portfolio. Option number two, you finish the tutorial, you do whatever the teacher did on that tutorial, and then you start again, but now you pick a different concept, and now you know the process, and you're just using it to sort of like follow along while you're doing your own piece. I find that to be the best approach, to be honest, but even the first one is or can be really good. Okay, let's see, what's this? Forgotten Anchorage. Too dark, way too dark, almost impossible to see what's going on. So this is where cinematography is really important, guys. Cinematography is one of those departments inside the film creation that focuses on the presentation, right? So it's about camera, it's about light, it's about a bunch of different things. So see. If you take a look at how you can make this, I would recommend you look or try to approach something like this. See how we don't have as many absolute blacks as what we have here on this one right here? Here, everything's black. Like, the only light we see, it's right there. This looks way, way better. Yes, we're going to have some really deep darks right here, but this is way, way better, okay? Something like this. So be very careful about that. And again, it's about studying this kind of like information to make sure that we can properly calibrate it. Actually, here, let me show you. So when you're dealing with this, you can do this inside of Photoshop or inside of Unreal. I've talked about this one before. This is called the histogram. And here you're going to be able to see where your values are. And look at this. In this particular picture, most of your values are on the dark side of the frame, right? This is very difficult to see. And I have a nice screen. So imagine if you're looking at this at a crappy phone, right? That doesn't have enough like HDR or whatever. So what you want to do is just push your brightness colors a little bit higher up, right? Something like this. And look at that. That's going to give us way, way more interesting information. Another thing I like to do is my most, like my darkest blacks right here, I'll push them up a little bit so that you don't have absolute blacks. See that? So that right there is quite different. And it's just a levels adjustment. Like, we didn't do anything to your composition. We didn't do anything to the information. We just adjusted the levels. And by doing that, we get a scene that we can actually see. Otherwise, it's not, we're not saying anything. So be very careful. It's not, there's nothing wrong with having contrast and with having really dark or really bright elements. But we need to find a balance, a nice balance where things are actually, well, enjoyable. Okay? Let's see. I recently got back into design after years and months of doing nothing. Can I show you my portfolio? Not right now, un gordo compu, but if you want, you can submit for next month's portfolio review, which is at the end of August. We do this every single month at the end of the month, okay? I want to be an environment artist. What can I do to be safe from AI? We are going to have, next week, we're going to have that conversation, okay? I don't want to lose too much time talking about AI right now, but I've been thinking about making a video about AI and how is it that we as artists need to adapt to this like technology, to this tool, and the best like approaches. Okay, so I will talk about it. Pyro says very little say from AI digital art these days. Just do your best, try to stand out from the crowd. Yes, but there has to be a specific strategy for that, right, Pyro? Like just doing it and hoping for the best is not like the best approach. There are certain things that I'm gonna recommend on that video, so make sure to subscribe here on the YouTube channel if you want to get the notification, because that one's gonna be airing next week on the Wednesday. Okay. Now we go with Cat Farley. Says, hey, I'm a senior in college studying game design. I consider myself a 3D journalist because my portfolio is somewhat all over the place. Would love especially some feedback on my environment because that's what I plan to pursue. Would love to know what I need to work on. Okay, let's take a look. Nice. Wow, you got a lot of pieces. Interesting. Cat Farley. Cat, so the first thing I'm seeing is it seems like you're really good at illustration. Like, these are pretty cool, like, illustrations. Like, these are, like, really high quality, to be honest. Like, this kind of level is definitely the kind of, like, polish that you might expect to see at a studio, right? So this is really, really good. I do feel some design choices, and I'm being very, very nitpicky here. I do feel some design choices are a little bit too busy. For instance, this one right here feels a little bit too busy. It's a little bit difficult to find what the focal point is for the character. But I like your style. It's very, very grungy, very dark. I don't know. It kind of reminds me a little bit of the Dark Souls stuff. So this is pretty cool. The Knight of Lungs. Interesting. Yeah, that's cool. Even this one right here. This looks very nice. Is this 3D? Oh, it is 3D. Nice. Yeah, it feels very Dark Soulish, I think. If that was what you were going for, I think you nailed it. Yeah, the textures. I love the face. Good stuff. Good sculpt. Yeah, this is really freaking good. Okay, so this is where things are falling a little bit flat in terms of like the distribution of values. We've talked about this before, right? So when we're dealing with any type of asset that's hand painted, values are going to be a lot of what dictates where we should be looking at, right? And as you can see right now, most of the elements have the same amount of values and they have the same amount of contrast, right? So we have really, really brights here on the bark and very, very dark elements as well. We sort of like need to simplify that a little bit. It's not like horrible or anything. It's just difficult to read on certain elements. This is I've shown this before. So this is something that the Dota 2 animation nowadays is everywhere. Just about, like, of course, knowing where to look at it. So if you guys are aware, some of you guys might be aware, but inside of Steam, there's a lot of options for people to create their own stuff, and if it's good enough, they can sometimes incorporate those things into the game. So Dota 2 made this document, this character art guide, a bunch of years ago. I'm not sure exactly when, but it's an old one. And if you take a look at how they approach the creation of their characters, you're gonna find things like this. This is what I am always talking about. We covered this quite a bit on the hand-painted course as well, for the pirate, right? So when you're dealing with characters, you wanna play with where your main values or your brightest values are gonna be, because that's the area that players are gonna be looking at the most. So it's very important that we don't have a sort of like uniform distribution of values. We wanna create a value blocking so that certain parts of the character are more of a focal point compared to others, right? Look at this. This is exactly it. Look at that. That's so freaking good. And it's funny because this exact same thing right here, right? They call this value patterning. That exact same thing. If we go to this one right here. Here. There you go. Chapter 6. Video 55, value construction. So value adjustment as well. So both of those elements, it's exactly this, like figuring out the exact same value that we want for every single part of our character so that it reads properly. See how every single one of these characters has enough variation on the blocking stage of their value so that we can identify different like materials and different body parts. That's not what's happening right now with the tree. Like the tree is way too busy and way too complex on values, and that's what's stopping us from really seeing how things are working. And here's the thing, I think you know this, Cat, because you've done that on your 2D stuff. So it's just a matter of transferring that to the 3D things as well, okay? But I'm glad that you were able to do all of this like big environments. Yeah, you have a good, like, there you go. So here's the thing, like, you did it here. You properly did it here on the 2D view, like this tree right here. That's amazing. Even on this one, the light value is very clean. So something happened, I think, on the construction of the 3D character that made it difficult to adapt. So just be careful there, okay? Same thing with some of this, like these horns and those some of those elements. I'm not sure if you're using a little bit of sculpting, but sculpting or incorporating sculpting onto the construction of the assets, it's a really good way to help you with the values once we jump onto the hand painted stage. Okay, but yeah, this is good. I know you were asking if the environment stuff was going good. I think it's going well. I think you were more successful with this character right here, and even with this guy right here. Yeah, this looks amazing. Yeah, I love that, again, like the painterly style. So this asset and the character are definitely stronger right now, in my opinion, than the environments. If you can push the environments to this level of attention to detail and this level of cleanliness on the textures, let's say, I think you're gonna be able to get a very nice effect. Okay, so yeah, this is really nice. I like what you did right here. Cool. That was Cat Farley. Let's see, we have a couple of questions. Speaking of environment artists, I know this AAA portfolios dominate ArtStation more than props and character artists. I'm gonna explain something about ArtStation in just a second, but yes, you are right in doing that. Would you recommend using a display pen tablet if it's coming with a good discount, or is it better to stick with the normal pen? So I've been using display tablets for the past like 7 years now. I enjoy them really like quite a bit, to be honest. If you can afford it, they're a good tool. They're not gonna make you a better artist, but they're like cool and fancy and you look very professional, right? So they're nice. They're very nice. It's definitely easier if you're doing a lot of like painting or drawing, because you can actually see where you're painting and drawing. But before that, I started 3D back in 2011, so 10 years before that, I was using the traditional pen tablet, and it's perfectly fine as well. Jan Topolovic says, "Hi Ev, I'm learning 3D for about a year now, and I'm wondering what projects shall be uploaded to a portfolio, and once you get a lot better, do you keep those projects on it or no?" So that's a great question. The projects that should be on your portfolio should be projects that show your current skill level and the things that you would like to be working on, right? Like if I don't want to do vehicles, then my portfolio shouldn't have a vehicle. Ideally, because I might be contacted and told, hey, we want to hire you because we saw one of your vehicles and we need vehicles on our game, and if you don't like doing them, then, well, you're gonna end up doing something that you don't enjoy. So ideally, you want to have things that you enjoy doing, things that you're good at, right? Like, don't upload things that you're not gonna be specializing in, and you should keep it up to date. I'm of the idea that unless an old piece is now really bad, you probably don't want to take it out, right? Because it does show your progress as an artist. It shows like, oh, for instance, you can take a look at my portfolio here. So I have a couple of pieces like, like this guy right here. So I did this character 12 years ago, right? And I'm still proud of it because I was learning, right, the process. But now I see it and there's issues with anatomy, there's issues with the textures, there's issues with the bakes, there's issues with presentation, right? But it showed where I was 12 years ago. Then, if you take a look at some of my like more up-to-date characters, or even this one, actually, this character right here, it's an evolution of that initial character. This was done, well, it was not done 3 years ago. It was done like 6 years ago. But it shows a different presentation of the same character, right? Like different types of renders, different types of lights, different types of like textures. So if you compare this guy right here, which again, in essence, it's the same character as this one right here, you can see how I grew as an artist in those like 6 years. That is important, or I would say it's still important for employers, because you can see that if you invest on that artist can become, well, better, right? So it's a good idea to include those. If at one point you're like, no, this is already like way too old and way too bad, well then, yeah, taking it out is a good idea. Hey Abe, I'm currently creating a dog for my portfolio, and I was wondering if as a character artist, a dog would be good. Yeah, it's definitely good. It's definitely good. So I'm gonna explain something about ArtStation based on one of the questions that we got from one of the guys up there. First of all, ArtStation is a social network. Okay, it is a social network. So that means that if you are popular online, like if you have a big online presence, the odds of you being noticed more and more here inside of ArtStation are bigger. Why? Because it is indeed like a popularity sort of like site, right? The way this works is as follows. When you upload anything to ArtStation, your work is going to appear here on the latest section of ArtStation. Everyone's work, like every single person uploading any single asset, is going to appear here on the latest section. If your element starts getting enough interaction, and if it starts getting enough interaction from high-profile accounts, right? At least this is what I've been able to sort of like discover about the algorithm, right? So if your stuff starts getting noticed, let's say, like people click on it, people like it, people give you follows, it will move to trending, okay? And once it's on trending, more people are going to be able to see it. So as you can see, the quality jump from latest, where you have a lot of like new artists or a lot of junior artists, compared to the quality that you see on trending, is definitely a nice jump. My advice is try to get your work to show on trending. If your work is trending, literally, like if your work gets here to trending, that means that your quality is at the level of what the industry might expect, okay? Because yes, of course, there's AAA studios that are even higher in quality, but even smaller studios, indie studios, or smaller projects, if your work falls in here, you are gonna be able to, to be noticed, okay? If you are able to get all the way to community, that's great. But I would say that the most like important step, especially for junior artists, is their work jumping from latest to trending. Community has to do quite a bit with popularity, right? So new games, for instance, here Hearthstone, special movies, or I don't know, like people who are really, really famous, like Rafael Grassetti, right? Like his stuff is always going to be here in community, because when Rafael Grassetti uploads something, the thousands and thousands of followers he has here on ArtStation are going to like it and click and share and comment and whatever. So that kind of stuff is going to push them all the way to the front. Again, my advice, especially on your early stages, is to start here on latest and try to get to trending, okay? Kindle Gem says, I disagree a bit on this one. You can have something amazing and 500 likes, but no breakdowns. Might not give you... Oh, yeah. No, I'm just talking about the platform here. Like, going into trending or going into community is not going to guarantee that you get like an interview or like someone reaches out to you. This is just about visibility on ArtStation. As you're correctly like mentioning, you do want to include more stuff like breakdowns or explanations, some like works in progress pictures, things like that, because that's the stuff that recruiters are looking for, so that they know and understand how your process works. What I said before, it's just about how sort of like the algorithm works on the ArtStation side. So yeah. Hey, if my professor really pushed adding story to our personal portfolio website, we posted process pics and explain everything as we go along. So, yeah, perfectly valid, and I agree with your professor. That's something that you do want to include. Hassan, we had you before. Hassan Oksan says, Merhaba, my name is Hassan. After 8 months later, I'm back with new art pieces. I know you give feedback to many people, but I hope you remember me. Abe, I of course remember you, man. I'm a recent graduate university student in the art department in Turkey. I graduated a few days ago. I cut my old simple tutorial piece and upload new complex tutorial piece, but they're still tutorial piece. I have some artwork I did on my own, but they're not good, so I did not upload in ArtStation. The thing is, I work on 3D every day, but I'm still not where I want to be on the level. And now because of grad, I feel like I'm stuck. Let's take a look. Hassan. So I've actually worked with Hassan a little bit in the past couple of months. He took a mentorship with me, and I've been helping him a little bit with his work. And we've talked about this before, my friend. It is good to have portfolio pieces with tutorial pieces, right? Like we just mentioned it a couple of minutes ago. But the main thing that you need to remember is you need to remove that fear. I know you're very scared of starting a project or starting a concept or working on something when you don't have the tutorial to help you. Tutorials are like the training wheels on a bicycle, right? So for instance, this one right here, right? Like we did this Warhammer gun like I guess like 2 years ago, I think. So we did this one 2 years ago, and this is a good job. Like modeling wise, it's fine. It's not game ready, of course, and we didn't do game ready when I was doing it on the live stream. But my point is, I think with all of the information that you learned from that video and from those live streams that we have, you could have picked one of the other like weapons. You could have picked a different design, and that way it would have more value. I don't have this one on my portfolio. I probably should upload mine. But my point is that it's important to use the information from the tutorials and apply it to your own creations. Okay, so sorry, give me 1 second, guys. Sorry about that. So, What you need to be very careful about is make sure that you don't depend too much on tutorials. Tutorials are great, believe me. I've been doing this for 16 years. I still watch tutorials almost every single day to learn new techniques, to learn new processes, to understand like new ways of like approaching different pipelines or workflows. So it's very, very common to follow or to look at tutorials. But it's important that you start working on the confidence of using that information from tutorials to really build something on your own. Okay, right now, every single piece that I see, especially this last four ones, you are doing a good job on the light. Like the light is looking quite nice. It's looking interesting. It's looking cinematic. I know that you're following like proper modeling techniques and proper like elements. That's perfect. Even on this one right here, the anatomy, it's there. It's getting there. I know that this is not for like games. This is more like for 3D prints. You did go through the texturing process, even if it's like a fast texturing process right here. But it's important that you start using all of those tools that you've learned and you apply them to an actual like concept on your own, right? And it doesn't have to be the most complicated or complex concept. For instance, if we look for steampunk animal concept, right? You're probably gonna find something interesting. There's gonna be a lot of AI, unfortunately, but even something like this, right? Like this nice little what's the word? Like a horse, seahorse. Ugh, I hate all of the AI stuff. Where's the seahorse? That one didn't seem like it was... Okay, it's something like this, right? So that right there, I know you can do this. I know you can model this. I know you can texture this. I know you can render this. So it's way more valuable if you were to model something as simple as this rather than following another tutorial. So the best advice that I can give you right now, Hassan, and we've talked about this before, is... I'm giving you permission. If you were waiting for something like that, like a signal, so like, hey, am I ready to start doing my own stuff? You are, my friend. You have the skills. You have the knowledge. The first couple of times that you do this without a tutorial, you are going to fail. It's going to be very bad, or it's going to suck a little bit. But again, the more you do this, the more experience you're going to get, and the better you're going to become, okay? But you need to take that leap. You need to trust yourself that the next couple of projects are going to be something that you do on your own. Can you still go and see a tutorial or watch a tutorial to understand the specific workflow and apply it to your project? Sure, but you need to do that, okay? ZBrush says, hey, when you're reviewing a portfolio, what breakdowns do you like to see besides the final renders? Wireframes are very important. Some UVs are also very important to make sure that you're utilizing the information as much as possible. And yeah, I think those are like the two main ones in my opinion. If you're doing a lot of texture work, I like to see the roughness map, because that's one that people tend to underestimate quite a bit. Thank you, Becker Draw. Have a great one. Let's see, did I miss? I'm a fresher hard surface to the artist. Could you please review a portfolio? So the portfolios are going to be reviewed next month. So if you were not able to submit for this month, you're going to be able to submit for next month at the end of August, okay? Now we're going to go with Nicole Kurz, a groom looked-up artist from Brazil. Recently graduated in 3D animation, and I'm doing post-graduation in VFX. I have interest in any kind of groom and a little bit of look depth. This has been my first year. I'm studying only groom. I want general advice about my portfolio and what I can improve. I use primarily action, but I'm starting to study Houdini. Okay. Cool. Okay, interesting. Nicole. Yay, that's a funny one. Okay. I think you did a good job here, my friend, Nicole. I'm gonna be very honest with you. The groom looks great, and we're gonna take a look at some of the other grooms in another what's the word? In another second. But the only thing that I would be just careful about, I'm not saying, oh, this is risky or don't do this, but one thing that I do need to mention. The fact that you are hyper focusing on groom artist positions means that you're gonna have to be really freaking good at groom artist positions, right? I'm in Latin America as well. I'm in Mexico, and most of my students and most of the people who are in Latin America, I recommend people to have a little bit more of a generalistic approach to 3D, because the productions that we usually have here on Latin America are not as big in budget as they are in North America or in Europe. Therefore, most of the time when you're inside the studio or working on a project, you will have to do a little bit of everything, okay? So it's important that you understand that, because if you just hyper focus on groom positions, which are quite in demand, so I'm not that worried or too worried about that. It's just going to be a little bit tricky sometimes, okay? Especially, again, if you can't travel, like if you have difficulty moving to the US or to Canada or to Europe, it can be a little bit tricky because it's a very super hyper, like, niche position, just grooming artists, okay? But it's a good groom. Like, in terms of the execution, you're doing good right there. This one I do feel is not as great in terms of the hair, like, position. I feel like it's just too blocky. Like, we're not seeing any like flyaways. We're not seeing any sort of like transitional hairs on some parts of the character. It just looks a little bit too, I don't know, perfect in certain areas, especially like down here. Usually hair, the longer it gets, the more messy it tends to go towards the tips. I understand that there are some styles where this changes. That's fine. I wouldn't necessarily call this look depth because it's a relatively simple what's the word, a relatively simple like network. Okay, this is the reference. Yeah, I guess in the reference it's a little bit more stylized, so it kind of makes sense. I'm not sure if it's the shading then that's sort of like throwing me off a little bit. Again, it's not a bad one. It's not a bad one, but it does read a little bit like an exercise rather than a final project. So I'm not sure if this was when you were learning like the action system here instead of Maya. I don't think so, because you did this last month, or at least you uploaded it last month. And then we have Judy Hopps. Okay. So my advice to you, Nicole, one of the things that you need to show, especially as a groom artist, is you need to show more complex hairstyles. Again, it's the same. This advice that I'm going to be giving you is pretty much the same thing for every single specialty sort of like role on a production, right? So if someone tells me I just want to be a modeler, I'm gonna tell them you need to do very advanced modeling. If you tell me I want to be a groom artist, I'm gonna tell you you need to do advanced groom systems, right? So if you look for XGen groom system, right, you're gonna see people doing crazy things. Like, instead of just doing a ponytail or like a very basic thing, you want to start showing that you can do really complex like groom systems, right? Something like this, a little bit more messy, a little bit more interesting, right? Something like this right here, that's a little bit more crazy looking, right? So try to go online, grab, like, you don't need to do the full modeling, right, for the character. Just grab a head and start doing different types of like hair systems. If you want to work in film and animated films, then look at the reference of what people are doing for animated films. Like, you show on your reference from like Mario movies and things like that. K-pop Demon Huntress is another great one. If you want to do video games, then doing this kind of stuff, right, like the hair systems that you can sort of like change in characters, this is the kind of stuff that's really good for grooming artist portfolios. So this would be my advice. Try to start doing more studies and more practices with different types of hairs, because that's another thing. Right now we have two fur studies. Sorry, we have two fur studies and we have one female head. I need to see more of that, right? We need to see more information about different types of like hairstyles for different types of characters as well. Would very realistic renders be good for groom artists? Yes and no. I think one of the most important skills for a groom artist, and again, I'm not a groom artist, so I might not have the full information, but it's being able to adapt an existing hairstyle. So if you show me a reference, let's look, for instance, male hairstyle long. So if you can look for a reference, let's say, for instance, this one right here, right? And you can show me this groom working inside of Action, perfect, because I can show, or I can give you any type of reference, right? Any type of actor, and you're gonna be able to match it, right? With all of, again, like all of the flyaways, all of the different bundles of hair, the ponytail, the beard, the eyebrows. Like, if you can show me that you can take an image, it can be a female or a male hairstyle, right? Any, and if you can show me that you can perfectly match this specific hairstyle, then that tells me that you're ready to be a groom artist, right? So there's of course a lot of trial and error, but that would be the advice that I would give you. Okay. Let's see. Hello, Ave. I love you so much. I wanted to ask you, can I give a portfolio with in-game screenshots, not like renders? Yeah, of course. Of course. I wonder if barbers will be good artists. That's a great thing, and I'm gonna take a little bit of a tangent here. One of the techniques that I use when I'm learning something for 3D is I try to look at an analog sort of like way that people do that, right? So when I was learning about hair cards and hair like placement and stuff like that, I did go and research about how hair is divided when you go to get like a haircut, right? Like they actually split your head in specific positions and specific regions to sort of like organize things. So all of the information that you can get from the way things are done traditionally, right? Like if you think about masonry, or if you think about our carpentry, or if you think about, I don't know, like anyone who's dealing with trees and how to like properly trim bushes and things like that, like any of those things, if you translate that information, like real world information, to the digital world, your stuff is going to look great. When I was learning hand painted, I studied oil painting, I studied acrylic painting, I studied all of these things because that information translates perfectly fine to the digital world. So don't underestimate how things are done in the real world, because that kind of stuff can definitely make you have an even better result on the digital world. So yes, barbers, if they learn the tools, they would be a lot better because they understand a lot of how hair works. Okay. Would you recommend using a display pen tablet if it's coming with a good discount? I already answered that, man. Yes. If you can afford it, go for it. Okay, let's go to the next one. So this is gonna be Medivulensas, and I think you send a message here saying, "Hello everyone, I'm the next one, and I just learned that I am a finalist on the rookies. Congratulations, my friend." Let's take a look. I'm a young French artist. I recently graduated from Artside Game School. I specialize in creating 3D environments and props for video games. My favorite style is stylized, but I really enjoy doing realism. I'm actually looking for my first job in the video game industry. I would like to know if my portfolio meets my objective. Nice. Let's take a look. Good. Nice balance, right? Like not too dark, not too bright. Okay, we got a couple of shots right here. I'm guessing this is in-engine. Unreal. Yep, Unreal. Cool. That's the reference. Okay, more breakdowns, man. Like, I definitely want to see way more breakdowns. Because I don't know what you did. Right? Like, I like it's great. Like, this looks really photorealistic. Kind of reminds me a little bit like Assassin's Creed, or that kind of like level of realism. This is great. I think you're using the engine's capabilities like really nicely. But unfortunately, I don't know what you did. Like, I understand that you did a lot of this. Oh, okay. Actually, you explained this. All assets and textures were sourced from Megascans, allowing me to focus on composition, material blending, lighting, and storytelling. Okay, I'm gonna give you really good advice here, my friend. If you are focusing on lighting specifically, a breakdown of how you approach the light will be very good. So, show me an unlit version, and then show me just one light source, and then show me how many light sources did you use. Like, that kind of stuff, it's important, because this looks very pretty, but composition, lighting, and material blending, unless you show me how you did it, it's something that it's relatively simple for someone else to achieve, right? So I know that if I gave someone else all of these assets, they probably could get really close to this result as well, right? Because the assets are really good, like the mega scans and the Quixel stuff is really good. So that's why it's important that you show the other stuff. Like if you're doing composition, okay, show me how did you plan the composition, show me the network for the material blending in some of the examples, show me how you set up the lighting for this thing. Okay, again, it's a good piece, but we need to see a little bit more about how you got to that result. And it's just about updating this one. Like, you don't need to start over, of course. It's just about updating this one to get a better result. This one's really good. Good stuff. Good stuff. Yep. A little bit heavy. A little bit heavy for a game asset. Yeah, not the end of the world. I like it. I do feel you went a little bit too grungy on the wood. And this is another, this is a, I don't want to call it like high or advanced like concept, but it's important. So when you have something like this and the level of detail is very similar between the two objects, right? Like the amount of grunge and dents and information that we have here on the metal is really close to what we had on the wood. It's very difficult for me to know which one I should be focusing on. My eye wants to go up here because this is where we have the highest contrast, because it's very dark, right? But we're still looking down here with all of the material. And if you take a look at the reference is not as dirty, especially this size right here. Look at how cleaner they are, right? It's mostly a roughness change rather than a color change. So it's those like little things. Again, you did a great job. I would not go back and fix this. This is for future reference. Make sure that we are properly guiding the eye of the audience to where we want them to see. But this is really good. The presentation, top-notch presentation. This is super clean presentation. Love it. Really, really good. And then this one. Oh, nice, nice. Yeah, this is good. This is good here. Love it. Nice, nice. Love this thing here. So you did use a little bit of designer. What did you use designer for? Okay, you did some like tileable textures and materials. Nice. Cool, cool, cool. Nice. Yeah, this is great, man. This is really, really, really good. I can see the mannequin back there. Great job on this one. Love it. I really have nothing to say. Like this is perfect. This is really, really nice. I'm guessing this is what you submitted to the rookies as well. Yeah. Love it. Love the painterly style. Maybe some wireframes. Like that will be my only recommendation in this one. But this one's really, really good, man. Congrats. Let's see. LDD says, "Hey, Abe, hope you're doing great. My throat is killing me a little bit, but other than that, yeah, things are going well." Let's see. I got a question about something else. If it's fine, it's about sculpting, but with phones. What do you mean with phones, man? There's no, as far as I'm aware, there's no app that you can use for sculpting with the phone. Maybe Nomad, because it runs on Android, I think. But I don't think I would ever do that. To be honest, I don't think I would do that. Yeah, ZBrush for iPad. I use all the time. Or Nomad. That's another great one. But I'm not sure if that will be the case. Excellent stuff, Mehdi. Excellent stuff. Again, just follow those things. And if you can show a little bit more modeling, especially if you want to be an environment artist, I do think showing some complex models, I don't know, like statue or like a door, things like that are important. Like a big door, right? Like not a normal wood door, but like a fancy medieval door, right? So fancy medieval door. So if you can model something like this is an excellent exercise, I think, for environment artists, especially when they're like starting out. Like this kind of stuff, right? Like this actually in-game, it seems. I'm not sure if it's AI or it's like a game. But doing this kind of stuff for an environment... it was AI. Oh my god, I hate it. I hate AI. Nah, I don't hate it. I mean, I hate it, but not every single thing about AI is hateable. There are things that are like quite useful. Anyway, so yeah, this kind of stuff. Like if you can model and sculpt and texture this thing for a game asset, this is really, really good for environment artists, because there's a lot of stuff that you're gonna be doing. Will you be reviewing character art portfolios? Yeah, Rod Blush. It depends on what people submitted to the portfolio review. So we open submissions, and it's up to whoever submits. But yeah, I'm guessing we'll see some like some characters as well. Says, "Hi Abe, my name is Christian Lurasiuk. I'm a 3D environment artist specializing in Real Engine and realistic real-time environment production. I recently graduated from Think Tank Training Center. A shout out to Think Tank. I'm a mentor there. Great school. I'm currently applying for environment artist and texturing positions. I would like any advice and feedback that will help me in a job search. I really appreciate your feedback on my portfolio and whether you think it's strong enough for getting a job." Okay. Okay, let's take a look. It says that I've already reviewed one of them. Oh, okay. Yeah, I remember reviewing this one. I've already talked about some of the things that can be improved, especially, again, focal point and focusing or guiding the audience to a specific area. So let's focus on some of the other ones. Nice. Oh, I love that shark, man. Good stuff. I did a shark recently as well. Let's take a look. Christian Ivan. I mean, my first impression is this is really good. We have a lot of props, a lot of like environment, a lot of mood, right? Like the setting, the weather, everything's looking quite nice. I'm guessing that's the set piece, the main key piece right there, which is great. Okay, so little advice, and this is actually from social media stuff, not necessarily from 3D. Try to avoid having really long shots. And I hate this advice because unfortunately our attention spans are completely cooked right now. So this shot right here, this first shot is like 20-second long. And unfortunately, again, most people nowadays cannot get or carry that attention. So I would try to do cuts every 5 seconds just to keep people engaged with the element. See this from like different like parts of the scene. Because yeah, these are just a little bit too long for someone to watch. Like I'm already seeing that this is like a 3-minute video, and my fried brain is like, oh, I just want to like keep clicking and scrolling so that I see all of the different pieces, right? So if you do more cuts and you show more parts like there, it's a little bit better. Also, be very careful with that. That's actually a very like common issue with camera work. Okay, so that right there. And Alan, you're gonna help me with this because this is a very good short that we can do. You're gonna do. Alan does this amazing like little like dynamic things. So when you have a camera movement, be very careful with the camera just like starting completely still, like right here. Right here, the camera should not start like completely still and then start moving. It just looks very unnatural. Like almost no one does that in films because it's just like a very, very sort of like weird way to start a shot. My advice is just remove the first couple of frames. So instead of starting here with the camera completely still and then slowly doing the fade in, just start right here when the camera is already moving and you already have a little bit of sense of dynamism, right? And then stop it or cut it before it slows down all the way to that like stop right there. Don't do that. So start with the camera moving and cut before it starts like stopping, and that way you're gonna have a more like smooth transition on your camera. That's called the slow in and the slow out. And again, the slow in and the slow out is really good. It's a really good like a tool that we can use, but you gotta be careful with it, and you don't want to start at like a complete stop and then end at the complete stop. It just feels very weird. Okay, so yeah, remove the easy out and keep the frame a little bit more linear. Okay, now let's see if we have some breakdowns. This is great, by the way, my friend. Like the amount of props and elements that you have on the scene is amazing. It's really, really ambitious. So congrats on that. This breakdown's amazing. Yeah, the wood beams, the shark. The shark could use a little bit more work on the sculpting, I'm not gonna lie, but it's fine because you have so many other pieces. The octopus. Yeah, this is like you were really, really ambitious with the whole construction of this thing, which is great. Like this is what people are looking for. So that piece right there, Christian, amazing. And now let's take a look at this one right here. Dreamland. I'm gonna skip the video. I'm gonna jump straight to the renders. So like abandoned circus. Yeah, I like it. I like it. So in terms of material presentation, in terms of asset construction, I think you're doing great. The next step for you is going to be to start thinking a little bit about the game design portion of things, right? Because one thing that I'm noticing on this particular asset or this particular piece is that it's a little bit difficult to understand what path the character is supposed to follow, right? So it just feels a little bit cluttered. Like I know this is the path that we are probably going to follow, but things feel a little bit too close to each other or too cluttered. We might want to clean that up a little bit so that it's a little bit more obvious where we want to work. But this is really, really nice. So yeah, yeah, like here for instance, right? Like it looks like as a player I'm gonna be able to approach this carousel, but after I approach the carousel everything seems to be blocked, so there's no way to go forward. Does that mean that I'm just gonna pick something up from there and then go somewhere else, or does that mean that I'm gonna jump into the carousel? Like that kind of like communication, we do want to think a little bit about that, so that this is not only like a set piece that looks very, very nice, but also a set piece that you can actually play in, right? Because in games that's, well, the main essence. Should I buy Marmoset if I already have texturing software? I personally love Marmoset. They're sponsors on our contest right now, so we have a really good relationship with the Marmoset team. I think if you want to do some really nice, clean presentations, Marmoset is like super easy to use, and you can like create amazing things. For texturing, I think it's a really, really strong contender for texturing. Like you can create some really nice textures. Bakes are like undeniably the best. Even now with Substance and the new SKU tool, I still think Marmoset has better bakes. But it depends on your budget. Like if you can afford it, believe me, you're gonna get your money's worth out of it. But if you are a little bit tight, then it might not be super necessary if you already have some of the other texturing options like Substance. I believe that video render is done in movie render with Unreal. Yeah. It's probably something that you can. Yeah, it's just changing some of the keyframes there. Okay, so Christian, I think you're ready for like you should start submitting this to studios and to multiple companies, especially this one right here. The fact that you were able to model and create so many different assets, that already shows me a good mastery of the process. So I think this is good. I think you're in a good position. One thing that I'm not seeing as much are some wireframes. I would probably like to see some wireframes just to understand your approach to modeling or creating some of these assets right here. But that's, again, like just nitpicking this stuff. Most of the elements right here, really, really good. Okay, let's go to the next one. This is Yehor Kolidiziani. Hi, my name is Yehor. I'm 19. You're young. I want to become a prop artist for indie game dev. I've been doing 3D for quite a while, but I only started working on it seriously recently. Right now, my main focus is a stylized PBR. I also like to mention that I don't have a graphics tablet, so I have to sculpt with a mouse, okay? As a result, sculpting is still one of my weaker skills. I'm not very confident about the quality of my work, and I really like to know what I should focus on to improve my skills. Let's take a look. Hey, it's not bad, man. Okay, so Yehor, first of all, you're young, so that's a good advantage for you because you still have a lot of things to learn and to improve on, right? You still have a lot of time. Hopefully, you're going to like school or something, and you're doing this as a side thing or as another project. This is fine. Like I can see that you already have some basic understanding of the ways we do things. For instance, here we see like a nice layout here for the UVs. The topology on this boot is really good, so you're doing, again, a good job right there. Texturing can improve a little bit, but in general, I like it. The only thing I'm gonna say, and I've said this before, is that we need to be very careful about very simple assets, right? So most of these assets right now, I would use them to learn the processes, to learn the pipelines, but maybe not necessarily as portfolio pieces. Like, it's going to be very difficult for a studio or like a team to see your work and be like, oh, we need Yehor, right? Like, he's got something that no one else can offer. And it's not because, again, the stuff is not looking good. It's just because it's relatively simple, right, compared to everything else. If you want to get into stylized stuff, like this kind of things right here, that's perfect. Try to pick projects that are a little bit more ambitious, and let's be very careful about a little bit of, like, again, like color balance and the organizations of things. So, for instance, here, this is a thing that I tell my students quite a bit. Be very careful with the metal edgeware. Metal edgeware happens when the object crashes or touches other objects and starts getting destroy-like damage, but you don't expect to see this damage everywhere. So we can reduce this. We can remove a little bit of this metal edgeware on some parts here and keep it on other areas that might be a little bit more obvious. Okay, so I have a trick. I showed this trick before here on the channel, which is like using like a clouds modifier or something like that to blend that kind of like effect, right? And this is gonna make your object look a little bit more realistic, because again, you don't want metal edgeware to be absolutely everywhere. If there's metal edgeware everywhere, then it doesn't make a metal edgeware special. It just makes it very generic. So you gotta be a little bit more precise about where you want to be adding or including this kind of elements. Does that make sense? I hope it does. Not only for you, but for those who are watching as well. So metal edgeware, dirt, that kind of stuff, you guys want to sort of like try to avoid having it everywhere, because if it's everywhere, it just makes everything look too noisy. Okay, so it's about like pushing things in a specific direction. I do think, Yehor, that it would be very cool if you could afford a tablet. You don't need to get a pen display. Again, like, even, for instance, I know Huyon has like these very simple tablets. like this one, the Frego. So the Frego is only 2,000 Mexican pesos, which is like $100. I know it's a good chunk of money. Like I understand that it's not like like free money or easy money, but even something like this, right? Like the super small ones, this tend to be like $50 or $70, something like that. Starting with something like this, perfectly fine. When I started my journey as a 3D artist, there was this tablet called the Wacom Bamboo. And I remember buying my first tablet, and I felt like a god. it was this, if I'm not mistaken. One of this, it was like a very, very old tablet, and I was like super happy about this, right? That was my first tablet. After that one, I moved on to this one, to the Inspiro Medium. It was like a bigger one, a more professional one, and then I started getting my my pen displays, right? So yeah, like even getting again one of this like budget like tablets is perfectly fine, and it will open up more opportunities for you, because not only are you going to be able to sculpt, but you're also going to be able to paint with the pen pressure, which is like the most important thing, especially for stylized stuff where you want to have that sort of like nice smooth gradient going from one place to another. Okay. Yeah, we got a lot of portfolios today from environment stuff. Let's go to the next one. This is Chiro. Hey, hello, Abe. My name is Chiro, Julian Ibanez. I have been doing 3D now for around 3 years, and I'm still learning a lot of things that are interesting to me, but also trying to find what I really want to specialize in 3D. By the time being, this is my portfolio. Okay, removing some old projects. And the questions are, what is lacking on the last projects I've done? Some of them are pretty recent, and the ones that are older, I have left them to compare the progression. And for last, aside from practicing the basics in sculpting and learning stuff like ZBrush, what would you recommend me to do to slowly transition my portfolio into a character artist portfolio? Let's take a look. Okay. I don't remember if I've seen your portfolio before. I feel like I have. Yeah, so, Julian, you know one of the things that I'm going to say, right? Too simple. This kind of stuff, like this breaker box right here, it feels very simple. This feels very indie. And I'm not saying this in a wrong way or in a bad way. Indies are perfectly fine. I love indie games. I actually recently got an amazing indie game. If you guys are into, like, Muso games, it's called Tears of Metal. It's by a Canadian team. It's good. It's really good. I strongly recommend it, guys. It's a roguelike with like Muso things. So it's like this huge battles with like big armies, and then your hero starts like growing. It's on early access right now, and it's like $10 or something. So it's really good. Anyway, so my point is, if you want to work in indie stuff, then sure, this is perfectly fine. But if you want to work in AAA things, then we need to improve this kind of things, right? Like for instance, this is supposed to be like a gasoline like tank. If we look for gasoline like flask or whatever, like this kind of things, look at the complexity of the elements, right? Like this guy right here. I'm guessing it's more like this one right here. So the complexity on all of the different elements that this thing has, it's a little bit more than what we have right here. Yours just looks like a box with bevels, right? And look at this. It's not a box. It has some like interesting curvatures right here. I haven't done a modeling, like a basic modeling tutorial, but it might not be a bad idea to do one for the channel. I know it's something that a lot of people might think it's way too basic, but it could help people who are in this sort of like situation, because this model, again, it's not gonna land you an opportunity. Like I'm being like completely blunt and honest here. Like this model right here is not gonna open like an opportunity for you, because it's very simple, right? Maybe this was, I understand that this was a VR game, but even in VR games you can still do complex modeling, okay? Like you don't need to keep everything super basic. Now we jump into this one right here. And this one right here in particular, the first thing that I notice is the grunginess on the material, right? Like it's way too grungy. It's just too noisy everywhere. And we need to be very careful. Again, we've mentioned this before today on the review. We need to be very careful about where we spend our time pushing the detail, and where we have the detail is where we want people to be looking at. And the problem right now is that this is way too uniform, right? Like the amount of detail that we have everywhere is just too uniform. Another thing that I'm seeing is that it's very blocky as well. So again, if we take a look at the handle right here, this handle, it looks like a box. It just looks like a box with some like hard edges. When in reality, if you look at handles for power tools, they too tend to be very ergonomic. So it's very important that you model or increase the complexity of your modeling so that we get something that looks a little bit better, right? Like this is definitely a little bit better. But yeah. Shibiness. Yeah, okay. Yeah, here's the thing. Like, I'm looking at this reference right here, right? Like, it's a perfect reference, man. It's so good because it has so much information. Like, even the metals, the elements, like, everything's very, very good. And I do feel we're not matching it perfectly, okay? Like, there are certain things where, especially on the material side of things, like, look at how clean this blue area is, right? Like, that's way, way cleaner than what you have here on your render. Like, you added way more grunge that was not really necessary, okay? Now, interestingly enough, it kind of seems like whoever did the concept art actually did a 3D block-in, because this looks very, very clean for line art. So he probably did like a 3D block-in, and then he did a paint over, which is very common, by the way, nowadays in concept art. And I do feel that we're not perfectly matching it. I'm going to show you another example here. So on the little trigger, that trigger right there, can you see that one right there? That yellow one? Everyone can see that? So that one right there, if we take a look at the concept, it's not as thick. It's a lot smaller because this thing is a lot smaller. It's a little bit rounder. It's not a block. It's not a box. So we gotta be very careful there. My advice, Julian, if you want to keep pursuing, again, like prop things, we need to follow the processes a little bit closer. And we do have that live stream. Warhammer Gun live stream. Hey, Leal. So if you go back and check this live stream that I did 1 year ago, you are gonna see how I approach modeling, and especially following that concept, I was able to sort of like match most of the things really, really closely. It's not a difficult concept. That was a relatively simple concept that I picked, but the important thing is that I managed to capture the curvatures and the elements a lot closer. So that would be my advice for you. If you want to start pivoting towards character art, that's fine. I would just let you know that since we don't have any character related stuff right now, it's going to be a little bit difficult for me to give you a specific recommendation, because I don't know where we're starting at. My advice, and sorry if this sounds very salesy, but my advice is just check or take the ZBrush character course, the Oni, right? So just take this one. Follow this one, and this is already going to teach you some basic stuff about like character construction. This is of course very stylized, very exaggerated, but it's going to show you the tools for sculpting, because that's another thing that I need to mention. I don't see any incorporation of like sculpting principles on these elements right here. It seems to me that you did everything with Maya, and it says right here Maya and just Painter, right? And if we take a look at the concept, there are certain damages, right? Like this, like scratches right there, some of like the bumps and the dents that we have in the metal. That's the kind of stuff that you need to do inside of ZBrush. It's not going to be possible to do it just with Maya and Marmoset, okay? That's a very good concept, by the way. Anyway, let's see if we have any question here. That's a hint for you, Abe. So many environment portfolios means you need to do this. I will be releasing an environment course, and I want it to be this year, but there's something I need to do before that. And once I do that, I think that the environment course is going to be really good. So we will be doing that. We will, like, I can promise you guys that there will be an environment course relatively soon, but I don't want to give you a specific date because I did that before and I failed, and I don't want to fail again. So we'll have that. Let's go to the next one. I'm new to ZBrush. What should I learn as a beginner? Please answer. Kumara Krishna, the Oni course, man. Like, I made this course specifically for someone who's new to ZBrush. The first 2 chapters, we cover the UI for ZBrush. We cover how it works, the sculpting basics, everything. And then we jump into building this character. And as we're building this character, I'll teach you a bunch of different tools that are going to make your life a lot easier inside of the software. So this is the complete ZBrush package. Later on, if you want to be a character artist, I would definitely recommend the anatomy course, because in this one we really go deep into like anatomy knowledge and anatomy construction to understand like how a character works. But for beginner ZBrush artists, I strongly recommend the Oni course, the ZBrush one. That's like my. And I was talking about this with a friend of mine yesterday. When I build my courses, I think about myself. I might be a little bit selfish, right? But what I mean by this is I think about when I was starting out as a ZBrush artist, what's the kind of stuff that I wanted to learn back then? And that's why I made the curriculum and the lessons specifically in this order and specifically with this information, because that's the kind of stuff that I was looking for when I was learning ZBrush, and most of it was not available back then. So now, well, I made it so that it's a lot easier for people to follow. Will this environment course demonstrate the principle of modular location? Yes. So I can give you a little bit of a sneak peek. It's gonna be fantasy. Like, I already know that it's going to be a fantasy-related environment course. So, you know, like castles and ruins and things like that. So it's going to be fantasy because that's like the most general thing, and it can teach us a lot of things. So it's going to be fantasy. We're going to sculpt hero props. We're going to sculpt modular props, and we're going to talk about high-level textures. So that's going to be like the main bulk of things in terms of like the sculpting side of elements. We're going to be dealing with a lot of... like material blendings. We're gonna talk a lot about like how to use the real tools, LODs, nanite. We're gonna be using trim sheets. We're gonna be using. It's gonna be a big one. That's the problem with the environment course. That if I make it the way I want to make it, it's gonna be a really long course. So I already know that I'm not gonna be able to fit everything in like 20 hours. It's probably gonna be like a 30 or 40-hour course. So when we release it, when I start working on it and we release it, it's definitely going to be one of the biggest courses. The price tag is definitely going to have to be adjusted because of that, because again, it's going to be a lot. So that's why I need to decide whether I want to release the environment course as a single big chunk, or if we're going to be doing like 2 small courses, like maybe one focusing on the sculpting and texturing side of things, and then one focusing on the integration with Unreal Engine, right? So I'm still sort of like planning ahead or around that specific situation, but that's the idea. Okay. Mr. Oogie says, I got a job in the 3D Generalist. Congratulations, my friend. There you go. Congrats. I'm happy for you. It's awesome. Very, very happy for you. See, there's still jobs out there. I know it's tricky, but there's still jobs out there. Do you have any advice for who wants to be technical 3D environment artist? So if you want to be a technical 3D environment artist, the best thing you can do is start focusing on learning the new tools that Unreal is trying to integrate, right? Things like nanite, things like megalites, things like the procedural like construction, where like the environment changes depending on how you move it. Like all of those things, they're very, very technical. There's a lot of like information that you need to understand. I'm not familiar with all of those things, so I might not be the best person. I'm more on the artistic side of things, not so much on the technical side of things. So that would be my advice. Focus on what the engine is actually doing right now. If I want to make a game-ready character, should I learn rigging? Not necessarily. No, I would say you don't necessarily need to learn rigging. It's a good skill to have. You should learn at least some automatic rigging systems like AccuRig or Advanced Skeleton or something like that. But yeah, it's I don't think you necessarily need to know how to rig a full character from scratch. Laura Art says, hey, is it worth it to move from Maya to Blender? My free student license expired and I can afford it. I use ZBrush and Substance for... Yeah, totally. Like, if you're just going to be using it, like, Blender for, like, box modeling or subdivision modeling, absolutely do Blender. Like, you're not missing anything. In fact, I do think, and I've said this before, Blender is better at modeling than Maya. Maya has some really strong modeling tools, but Blender is way better at modeling because there's a bunch of plugins that actually make it a lot easier. The part where Maya shines is, of course, in my opinion, and in the opinion of a lot of people in the industry, on the rigging and animation side of things. So if you're just gonna be modeling, do it in Blender. Like, absolutely no reason to do it in Maya. This is Hussein, says, hi, I'm Hussein. I'm a 3D animation graduate, November 2025, currently on the hunt for a job. I have 3 pieces in my portfolio, and with my latest piece at the start, I'm actually a big fan of the Leal YouTube channel, as I used a lot of the tutorials to learn Maya, and I'm currently learning from the rigging course on the side. Let's take a look. A Beamio, we haven't had an animation reel in a while. So, I'm not an animator. I might be able to give you some feedback here. Okay. 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 Okay, so this one I think is definitely the strongest one. I think you did a good job here. The only thing I'm noticing is that there are no... Let's see here. Go back to the first one. Like the second character, I think it's perfect. I think you animated that second character perfectly. There, on the other character, on the main character, the one thing I'm noticing is that you're not giving enough time on the like the follow through, right? So I like what you did here, like that looks fun. And then there's this hook, boom, there, see that? So this looks weird to me in terms of animation. The fact that we have this huge sort of like storing of power, we're preparing like a very big punch, and instead of seeing the arm completely straight to showcase the punch, or it looks like it's more like a hook. But I would definitely exaggerate this pose like quite a bit more and hold it for a couple of frames to really showcase that power before you go back or before you cut. Because you can see right here is like boom, like we were like preparing all of the information or all of the animation for this like big high point of the character, this hook, and then it just like suddenly stops and we jump into another frame. So that will be my only concern on this animation. Everything else looks quite nice, to be honest. And again, I'm not an animator. I'm just giving you my opinion on some of the fundamentals of animation that I know about. Like I love that like wipe thing that you did. That's a lot of like caricature exaggeration to the character. Yeah, like all of that is pretty cool. Yeah, it's that like because we're selling it here with the final like hit, and then and also see how he stops right there. Can we go like frame by frame? I don't know what the shortcut is to do frame by frame. Let me see if I can find. Yeah, so that exaggeration there, that's great. And then here he just looks like way too close. I would go more like this. To really go strong, like very strong on that like uppercut, right? I think that will be pretty cool. But yeah, as someone said, the keyframing and everything, it's good. Now I do think this bomb thing, I don't know. I just feel like there's not a lot going on, and I don't feel like it might be the best one. Same for this one. I do feel like the animation looks a lot more like a junior or a very like student level animation. And I know you're a student, right? Like you just graduated last year, but it's just like even there, right? Like some of the poses on her, like she looks like she's about to fall. So it's a little bit of a balancing thing. Now I'm gonna be completely honest, man. I feel like we're living a time where rendering is super important. So presentation should be something to consider. You're inside of Maya, and it seems like you're already rendering, but there's a lot of noise. So activating denoiser, activating some GPU rendering, like if you can, like exporting this to Marmoset or to Unreal to have like a better light situation, that can definitely help you on the animation side of things. I'm gonna see if I can send this to one of my animator friends and see if he can give us a little bit more feedback there. But yeah, like it's good. It's good. You're on the right track. I can tell you that. You're on the right track, but we need to show a little bit more polish. One thing that I remember my animation friends doing when they were graduating, showing things like walk cycles, showing things like run cycles, showing things like expression changes, like going from like to like changing all of the face stuff, like that kind of stuff is the things that you want to see on your animation reel as well. Let's go to the next one. That was Hussein. Let's go with Lolp. Yes, hello, I'm Lolp. I'm from Germany. I've been doing 3D for about 5 years, but it wasn't until a year ago that I decided to take it seriously and start building my portfolio. My main focus is creating realistic, hard surface game assets, but I also enjoy making stylized pieces. Let's take a look. Okay. Again, we've mentioned this before, my friend Lolp. So the problem with what I'm immediately seeing here is that 80%, 90% of the props here are things that already exist in the real world, and that's the thing that's going to be replaced like the easiest going forward in the next couple of years due to AI, due to photogrammetry, due to CAD scans or CAD models, right? Like this is the kind of stuff that pretty much every single artist is going to have access to, right? Like no studio is going to look at this knife right here, which again, you did a good job on. Like the execution is really good, but the problem is that it's such a simple or relatively simple knife that most people could do. What would be my advice? You want to do a knife? Perfect. Just look combat knife, concept art. And you're gonna find people doing their own versions of combat knives, right? Something like, I don't know, let's look for 2D. 2D. There you go. So if we look at this, what you're going to be able to hopefully find are other types of like renders or other types of like illustrations of specific combat knives that are more unique, something that you're not going to find as easily in the world, right? And if you are able to model, texture, and render that, then it's going to be more valuable for your portfolio. Because look at this. This combat knife right here, it's pretty much the exact same one that you have, right? This combat right here, pretty much the exact same one you have. And I'm sure it's not your portfolio, right? It's a little bit different. So everyone has done this specific combat knives hundreds of times. So you are better off picking up a concept or picking up an idea that's different and more unique so that your portfolio stands out, okay? So in terms of the actual like technical execution of your stuff, it's good. Like the bakes look really clean. I love the borders. Presentation is really nice. So right now, what might be hurting your portfolio is the choice of weapons, right? So again, this is the M1911. Every single war game for the past 30 years has modeled or created an M1911A1. So if I want, let's say I want to make a game, right? I'm gonna start my own game and I need an M1911 3D model, right? So I can literally go to TurboSquid and buy one of them. Look at this. I don't even need to buy it. I can just download one of this completely for free, right? As long as the what's the word? As long as the freaking license allows me to use it for commercial purposes, I can just get it, right? Or if I want to buy it, I can buy this one right here for $37, right? So this is the question that you need to ask yourself when you're picking a model or when you're thinking about, okay, what am I offering to a studio? What am I offering to a client? If the client can just go online and buy this weapon for 40 bucks instead of having to pay me 400 bucks or 800 bucks for all of the time that's going to take me for me to model it from scratch, then I'm not really offering anything, right? And most indie studios will just pick this option. They will just buy the weapon and use them for the games as long as, again, as the license allows for it. However, if I go for a gun concept art 3D, right? There might be some concepts similar to the style that I want. Look at this beautiful ones right here. This is the kind of stuff that you can't buy easily. I can't go to TurboSquid and buy this. And I'm going to be honest, you can't even really go into like an AI and get you a model. It's going to get you a blob that for 3D printing, sure, it could work. But for game optimization, it's not going to be ready. So this is the kind of stuff that you want to be modeling. This is the kind of stuff that you want to show someone, hey, I know how to model, right? These guns are really good to learn the process. These guns are really good to show a really cool portfolio for your element. Okay, so it's very important that you understand that. Someone is saying this: when it comes to firearms, would you say that extremely modded but still real firearms are more viable? It's better. It's definitely better. Like if you add like scopes and grips and lasers and things like that, it's good that you can show this. But honestly, I would recommend people to just like work on more like interesting looking guns if that's what you want to do, because you need to show that you can do this kind of stuff. Even like this stylized one right here looks very cool. And again, it's something that it's not easily done with or that you're not gonna easily find in like TurboSquid. You want to create something, or you want to show that you can create things that people are not gonna be able to find easily in any other like site or any other place. So that would be my advice for you, my friend, because again, most of the models that I'm seeing right now are very, very simple. Like this flask right here, it's a fun flask. I love it. Like if I'm doing like hand painted stuff or whatever, this is great. It's a fun one. But pretty much everyone who knows how to do 3D modeling can do this flask. So right now, your portfolio is not showing me that you have specific skills that separate you from everyone else. And again, unfortunately, due to how capitalism works, I know that you are located in Germany. So you are going to be more expensive for me as a studio to hire, because I need to pay you a fair wage for Germany compared to me hiring someone from, I don't know, even Mexico, right? Where prices and 3D can be a lot cheaper. So that's where you need to have really, really good skills and really showcase that in your portfolio so that it justifies the price that you're offering, okay? Or the price that you're asking for. Hi, Abe, quick question. How do I know if I'm ready to apply for a job? That's a great question. Oh, So you are going to be ready to apply for a job if you can fulfill what the job is asking for. I mean, when I was like a student, what people would recommend us to do is go to a job listing, right? Look for a 3D like job stuff. Let's see, digital 3D. There you go. And for instance, look for something that matches what you want to do. I'm trying to look for a junior position, which is definitely going to be challenging right now. There we go, like this one. 3D artist, mid senior. Okay, so mid already gives me a little bit of information. And go to the responsibilities. Like what are they looking for? And start like checking, like literally using your like a marker or whatever to see. For instance, here, they want produce high-quality 3D art assets in both realistic and stylized styles, including props, hard surface model, foliage, vehicles, weapons, and environment elements based on project requirements. Can you do that? Like, do you know how to do foliage? No? Well, then you're already not the best candidate for this particular job. Can you do weapons? Can you do environment elements? Can you do vehicles? If you can, awesome. You have that. Ensure performance and technical quality of 3D assets, optimizing them to meet specific technical requirements. That means good topology, good UVs, good stuff. Do you know how to do that? Awesome. You got another check mark right there. Integrate 3D assets into Unity 3D or Unreal Engine, setting all of these collisions and dynamic objects. Do you know how to do that? If you don't, well, then you already know what kind of stuff they're expecting you to know. Now, you don't necessarily need to know absolutely everything. Remember, when people are creating this like this postings, this is like the ideal candidate, right? And there might be someone out there that fits every single category, but it's very probable that there might be something that you are not super aware with this, right? So for instance, if it says like in this case, like I personally don't know how to do dynamic objects inside of Unity. So is that going to stop me from applying? No, because at the end of the day, I can probably learn that relatively quickly. And even if I'm in the job, it's like, hey, I've only learned this recently. Just let me know if I'm doing it properly or help me out, right? Like most people are quite helpful in that sort of like sense. But you're going to see this kind of stuff. Like, look at the kind of like software that they're asking for. Look at the kind of the skills that they need you to have. If you have all of this information, then you apply. Says, I actually applied for this, but what does it mean 5 years of professional experience? So 5 years of professional experience, that's a good question. So it usually means that you need to have been part of a team or have shipped products. Like that you need to somehow show that the skills that you have translated into actual sales or into actual like products that have been shipped and things like that. It doesn't necessarily mean that you need to have 5 years of experience in a AAA studio. No. It just means that you've worked in teams before, that you know how to communicate. It's actually also sometimes like a filter, right? To filter out people who are just starting out and want to start applying. Some people might even apply. If let's say you've been doing Lollipop, let's say you've been doing 3D for 3 years, and the thing is asking for 5 years of experience, right? Like here, more than 5 years experience as a 3D artist. If you've been only working 2 years or 3 years as a freelance artist or in small studios, but you also have like 2 or 3 years of experience in school, I would still apply. Like, the worst that can happen is you don't get an answer back, right? But you should apply again with a strong portfolio. Like, you should not apply if you haven't done this for a living for a long time. So it's like a first filter that they tend to use commonly. Your portfolio is going to be like, I think, hopefully I'm not like saying stupid things right now, but I think most people are quite aware of where they are in terms of their portfolio. So if you see the studio, for instance, this is befio.com. So if I see the kind of like work that they're doing, right? Like the level of work, like look at this right here. Like this is really good. So if I'm an environment artist and I want to apply to Befio and I see this and I know my portfolio is not up to this level, then applying might not be the best idea because you're not matching what they're currently doing, right? However, and I've seen this very often with indie studios where they're asking for a lot of qualifications, and then I see the stuff that they're producing and it's like really, really low quality. It's like, why are you asking for so much when the stuff that you're doing is not really up to that level? That's where it becomes like a sort of like a tug of war situation. Let's see. I was going to say, if you're in an interview scenario, would you ask the employer what softwares you use or they use? No, not necessarily. It's very obvious what they use. And again, like you should be able to adapt fairly quickly. But most people will tell you on the listing what softwares they're using. So for instance, here, They have 3D Studio Max, Maya, Blender. Okay, cool. I use Maya, I use Blender, so I could potentially like apply to this studio, right? Oh, sorry about that, guys. Quick question, if I may. What are your thoughts on the advanced skeleton for doing quick rigs with turtles? I love it. I love advanced skeletons. It's really good. Definitely recommend that one. What would you say to someone whose goal is to work on Naughty Dog as a 3D environment artist? What should he or she follow to a canon roadmap and tips? Oh man, that's a tough one. So as I was showing you right here, like if you take a look at this site at Befio, and you take a look at the stuff that they were doing, right? Look at this. Like, you want to be a character or an environment artist, you need to be able to hit this level of complexity. What do you need to do? Well, you need to learn modeling, you need to learn sculpting, you need to learn about tileable textures, you need to learn about like tileable materials. So I won't be able to give you like a perfect roadmap of all the things that you need to know, but you can see right here, this is the quality that a studio like this is expecting from an environment artist. So you need to learn all of the skills necessary to be able to what's the word? To be able to perform at that specific level. Same for characters, same for everything. Andres says, hi Ave, talking about experience, I'm tired of seeing jobs for junior positions that require 3+ years experience and 2 AAA games. I tried to join. Question, Andres, have you applied to those? Like, even if they have that requirement, have you applied to those? I'm not sure if I've reviewed your portfolio before or not. Another question would be, is your portfolio up to the level of what that like specific studio is doing? Because that's the problem, right? Lower that's where things become complicated. Remember, job positions will add those sort of like qualifications. Even if you what's the word? Let me rephrase that. So there will be job postings that ask for those kind of qualifications, even if their stuff is not up to that quality. So if you have the quality and you don't meet those specific qualifications, you can still apply. Absolutely nothing wrong with that, okay? Because you have the quality. It's all about the quality and of course the connections, right? Like who you know. But it's very important that your quality is up there. Yeah, and that's exactly. Sinch here has a great point. He says, as someone who's trying to break into the game industry as a junior artist, I'm thinking of making my junior portfolio looking like senior level. Maybe only then might be able to stand. Exactly. No, and that's what we need to do right now. A junior portfolio, or what was considered a junior portfolio, like let's say 5 years ago, is no longer enough. Now you need your portfolio to be at like a medium or like a yeah, like not senior level necessarily, but like it does need to be higher up in quality. And the advantage is that there's more information, there's more softwares, there's more tools that allows us to get to a better quality. The disadvantage is that yes, we need to spend the extra time like really pushing our portfolio to get to that next level. Yeah, let's go to the next one, guys. This is Rasek, a character, nice. Hi, I'm Rafael, I'm Brazilian. I started in 3D back in 2020 in my college. In 2023, I had some personal problems that kept me from studying 3D for a little over a year. But since then, I've been studying with the focus of becoming a 3D character artist for games. I'm looking for my first job and I want to know what I can improve to get there. Let's take a look. Okay, cool. So the first thing that I see is that we have a bunch of fan art. And I've talked about fan art before. Fan art's not necessarily bad, but it's kind of like a double-edged sword because fan art is very identifiable, right? So people know how a character should look, and if you miss the mark, they're gonna be very quick to tell you that you missed the mark. I can see that you know the basic stuff about like the process, right? Like you know how to do modeling, sculpting, it seems, texturing, even hair carts. Are they hair carts or hair groom? It looks like hair carts. Yep. Yeah, the polish is fine. I like the wings. Yep, good stuff here. So the technical aspect, Rafael, on your work is good. The technical execution is in a good level. I feel like you forgot to flip the normal map there or something. The skin looks way too coarse. Or that there's also like a weird mask going on. I'm not super fan of what you did here with the skin shader. I feel like the skin is not looking great. And again, this is the problem with fan arts. Like this is Verso, of course, from Expedition. Everyone knows this is Verso because it has some obvious characteristics, but I don't feel like we were able to match the quality that we normally see in the game, right? Some of these parts right here, for instance, are way too low poly, and then you have some parts that are way too high poly. That's a very common mistake. People should avoid this. Remember, guys, the general, so like poly count on a character should be a lot more uniform. You shouldn't have areas that are super high quality and then areas that are super low quality. Everything should be a little bit closer together. So right now, I feel like some of these parts are a little bit like farther apart. UVs are not bad. I would need to take a look at the textile density to see if we're like really utilizing that to the best of our ability. But in general, I feel like this is working decently. So in your case, Rafael, I feel like you have a good understanding of the pipeline. So you know the steps, you know the high poly, low poly, like that kind of stuff. What we need to focus a little bit more on is the quality, right? We need to focus on the quality, especially on the materials, on the texturing side of things. I think that's an opportunity area for you, the texturing side of things, and also a little bit on the sculpting side of things. So for instance, if we take again a look at Verso here, I feel like the lips, they're not working perfectly, and I think you didn't do the inside of the lips. I'm willing to take that bet that you didn't do the inside of the mouth for Verso. So you sculpted the high poly, but there's no actual inside of the mouth. I'm not sure because it seems like you did cut something out there. It just looks very weird. Like the mouth looks very weird. Some of the face elements are not looking great, and again, the skin is something that definitely needs a little bit more work. So what I would recommend for you, Rafael, is go and pick another concept. Like if you want to be a character artist, that's fine. Actually, funnily enough, you are the first character artist that we reviewed today on the portfolio review, and that's something that's going to happen quite a bit, by the way. In the industry, there's always sort of like ups and downs. So there was a huge influx of character artists in the past couple of years, and now that position is a little bit saturated. Now I see a lot of people trying to go into environment art, which is fine. But what's going to happen is it's going to become saturated as well. So again, your stuff needs to be really high quality for you to be able to land the position, because there's going to be a lot of people who are doing that. So if you want to stick with characters, stick with characters, but let's definitely focus on the quality of the characters, and let's focus on making sure that we, like, every single part of the character needs to be done to the best of our abilities, right? And I know that sounds very easy to say, and once we're actually doing it, it's just like a little bit more complicated. But for instance, this thing right here, see how some of the strokes here on the skirt look very clumsy, very weird, like you just like went with the Damon standard and that's it. That's the kind of stuff that we need to be very careful about, because it just makes things look amateurish, right? Like junior. And especially for a super important character like Sephiroth here, we definitely want to spend the time actually doing the patterns. Like maybe we need to split this into multiple elements, or doing this inside of the texturing, or doing this inside of marbles, right? We need to be more careful about that. Same thing, for instance, here on the chest. Like I can see most of the leather stuff that you sculpted here on the chest, it was just sculpted from a single mesh. It's like a block of clay, and then you sculpted everything, and that makes it look very lumpy. It doesn't separate each specific parts of the element. So we need to make sure that we follow that. I think you did a good job on the hair, though. I think the hair looks quite nice. But it's all of this assets, right? Like look at how the trim looks here on the shoulder pad as well. It just looks, I don't know, it doesn't look as tight as we might need it to look for something like this. Why should the density be closer together? Isn't it all about how something deforms? Yeah, it's of course about how something deforms and about the details. But the reason why we need to make sure that the density is close together is because you don't want to have an element, for instance, here on the shoulder pad that looks super smooth and super clean, and then you go lower, and then this skirt looks very faceted, right? It just like breaks the immersion a little bit. So that's a problem there. You want to make sure that everything is as close together so that something doesn't stand out more. It's the same thing we do with textile density, right? We don't want to have an area of the character be super high quality in terms of texture, and then another part be super low poly or quality, because it's going to look very weird. So it's the same principle. You want to have like a uniform distribution of the textile density. Of course, there might be certain areas that might need a little bit more or a little bit less, but in general, you want to try to keep it as clean as possible. Let's see. The way I've heard think about this is that junior level artists should have the same skill level, or at least look pretty identical. But what makes your junior is your speed. Yep, speed is also a factor, definitely. Could you tell which one did you like the most out of all the portfolios you've reviewed today and why? Sure, I can do that. Just as a little bit of a benchmark, right? So I think from today, this one right here from Christian, the one with the shark with all of the different props, that one was really good in terms of quality, and this one right here, the one from Mehdi. Yeah, because he's got like this like really clean, professional looking textures. So those two portfolios so far have been like the best ones that we've seen. We're still missing several, so we'll see what else we get. But those too far are definitely on the like really high quality and the type of quality that studios might be looking for. Okay, now we go with Elise. Says, my goal focus. I've been studying 3D intensely for exactly 1 year. I'm 15 years old. Dude, you're very young, man. That's great. This is my first complete AAA game ready prop. My long-term goal is to become an environment artist for realistic historical studios like Warhorse or Bohemia Interactive. Nice. That's very specific. I mean, the fact you're 15 and you are already like super focused about what you want, that's great. I will tell you one thing though, and I'll take a look at your portfolio. You're also quite young, so it's perfectly fine if this current goal shifts or moves as you grow older. When I was 15, I did not want to be a 3D artist. I didn't even know whether that was a possibility. I actually wanted to be a doctor. So it's very normal. So don't stress too much about it. Enjoy your youth. Enjoy those years because those are fun years as well. So keep doing this if you enjoy this, of course, but don't stress too much about it. You're still very young. Let's see. Let's take a look. So you're asking a lot of questions about the PBR workflow. This is a really nice presentation. I love it. Very cinematic. Nice. Okay. 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 Yeah, so for instance, this right here, this is a little bit of a difference on textile density. My rule of thumb when I'm doing textile density is I don't like having more than 25% difference on the textile density resolution, right? So this chest right here is using a 4K map and it's at 30 textile density, and the reliquary and the fabric are using another 4K map and they have a 15.84 pixel or textile density. So the problem with this is that the reliquary or the little chest is going to look super high quality and this guy's might not look as high quality. Best thing you can do here, just change this from a 4K map to a 2K map. That's going to half the density to something that's a lot closer to the fabric and this thing right here. So that's going to keep your textile density a lot closer together. You don't always need to do that. Like if the chest is a very, very important part of the game and you really want it to be very high quality, sure, you can keep it at 4K. But if you want to keep everything at the similar like level, just literally exporting the maps, like you don't even need to redo everything. Just export the map at 2K and you're going to be able to have the same textile density. Elise, I'm going to say something, man. I want to congratulate you because at 15 years, you're already showing a good understanding of the process that people who have been doing this for like 3 or 4 years at some schools don't even have. So congratulations on that, because you are showing that this is not something age related. It's about commitment to understanding the process and going through all of the necessary like things. So congrats on that. Now, a couple of like nitpicky things here, right? Like the textile density is one of those things. The cloth, I feel like the fabric that you did right here, I'm not sure if the UV for the fabric it's like distorting in a weird way, but you're getting some like weird stretchings here on the fabric, especially here. You can see that it's way more dense on some areas and less dense on other areas. So that could be, a little bit of an issue sometimes. Again, I really like what you did here with the light. So in terms of like the presentation and the construction, you're doing really good, man. Let's see. I do feel some of the retopology that you did for the chest is looking a little bit soft. So I might try maybe increasing the topology a little bit more to have sharper angles, especially on the metal parts, so that it feels more hard surfacey. But other than that, I think you did great. He's 15 years old. Too late. It's over. Oh, there you go. You're here, my friend. Yeah, so again, you did a great job, Elise. I think this is really, really nice. I like the attention to detail that you added on the elements. Like you mentioned, the roughness variation. It seems to me that you are like really learning the stuff, which is great. Just do more. Keep doing this. Like keep see, you have some more elements right here. Keep working on more of these elements. Keep learning a little bit more about the tools. It seems like you're using a little bit of ZBrush as well, so learn a little bit more about sculpting. Just keep practicing. At this point, like if you can afford 2 hours a day, that's great. If you can afford to keep like learning about these tools, go for it. And once you actually go into college, or if you decide to study this, you're gonna be a beast. Like, you're gonna have so much experience with this. And that's the fun thing about art, right? Like art does not discriminate in terms of age. I've seen people who are in their, I don't know, late 40s, late 50s, starting their 3D journey, and they're doing great things. And I've seen people as young as Elise here who are starting really, really young and also doing great things. So it's about committing the time to learning the tools, committing the time to understanding the tools, and being able to create like this very nice looking pieces. So good stuff, man. Good stuff. I really don't have anything else to say, to be honest. I just think like this cloth right here could use a little bit more work. One of the things that I would recommend, like if you're into learning softwares, try and see if you can try Marvelous Designer. If you do a little bit of Marvelous Designer, that fabric right there is gonna look even better. So there you go. Go for it. Go to the next one. How many are we missing? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. Okay. So here's what we're gonna do, guys. Here's what we're gonna do, because as I mentioned, my throat is killing me. It's not as bad anymore, but I want to force it, because then if I force it, I'm gonna be out of commission for like a week. So we're gonna do one more portfolio review right now. One more. We're gonna do Lorenzo Pace, and then the next ones, Manuel and everyone else, we are gonna be doing those on the Sunday. Okay. I know we normally don't do live streams on Sunday, but we're gonna be doing another live stream on Sunday, and we're gonna finish up the final ones. Okay. That way I won't force my voice, and I'm gonna be able to survive a couple more times. Submissions are closed, my friends. Submissions are closed. So if you did not manage to submit for this month, don't worry. We're gonna have more submissions next month for August. So you need to join the Discord channel, and here on the portfolio review section of the Discord channel, we open the submission, and you guys can submit to be evaluated. We're gonna open the August submission on the last week of August. You need to be paying attention to that, and when it opens, you can submit. So this is Lorenzo Pace from Italy, recently graduated from Think Tank Training Center as well, and my main goal would be to enter into the AAA video game industry as a 3D environment artist for realistic settings. This is my portfolio so far, but I'm unsure what I can improve and what kind of direction I should take. Take a look. Okay. Damn, you got some cool stuff, man. This is good. This is good. Okay. Yeah, I mean, you did a good job on this one. I like the details on the breaks, the foliage, the vertex painting that you use. So there's a bunch of techniques here that you're showing that's pretty cool, pretty nice. Yeah, this is great. Nice. Breakdowns here. Right. Yep. Yep. Cool. Displacement. I'm guessing that's Gaia. Did you use Gaia? Yep. There you go. Gaia for the mountains, for the terrain. Yeah, this is good stuff, man. So the one thing that I'm noticing on your portfolio, Lorenzo, and it's probably what I would recommend you focus just a little bit in. You don't need to spend like 2 years learning this, right? But a couple of months just improving on the individual assets side of things, right? So what do I mean by that is most of like your presentation is top notch. Like I love that you are actually using Unreal Engine to the full capabilities of the engine to really have this like nice cinematic photorealistic effect. But yeah, things like this, right? Like for instance, these barrels, I feel like the barrels themselves could be improved a little bit. And most of the assets that you're using to build the scenes are relatively simple in scope. It's just planks and beams and walls, right? So I would like to see a little bit more complex elements. For instance, a wagon. I've always mentioned a wagon. Wagon with... So these are the kind of assets that an environment artist should be able to do as well. I know that most of the time it's the prop artist who's going to be able to do this, but if you can show that you can do a wagon like this, right, with all of the elements, with good textures and everything, and integrate it into an environment scene, it's a good sign for an environment artist, right? It's a good sign to be able to showcase that kind of stuff. If we go back, for instance, to the castle walls, or to the other castle that you have right here, this one. For instance, I saw that you included some tombstones, right? Some interesting tombstones, but most of them were relatively, again, simple. I would try to sculpt and model some of them that are a little bit more interesting, more advanced, right? So it's not the same thing to do something like... Oh, where is it? Let's go to the tombstones. There we go. So like this tombstone right here, this is something that anyone can model and sculpt in like 2 hours, right? It's a very, very simple thing to construct, because it's not a complex one. If you want to pursue the art side of environment creation, I would recommend you give it a shot and say like, hey, let me try and sculpt or model something like, let's see. I mean, it could be something as simple as this guy right here. Right, I know there's a lot of like mushrooms or whatever, stones, but even something that's just like a little bit more advanced in terms of like the details, like even this like cross right here, right? See how much like engravings and elements we have on this one compared to this one right here. That's again just like a very simple model, box model element. It is important, I think, for a it is important for someone to be able to build complex things as well. Again, I know that environment artists might not be doing that all the time. Like, you might be doing more like trim sheets and tileable textures and things like that, but I think it will be helpful for you. Same for the door, right? Like, you had like a door. Yeah, like that door right there, the wooden door. We showed another example a couple of like portfolios ago. Have a close-up of the door. Yeah. So as you can see, that door looks a little bit too simple for... I mean, it might fit the reference, which is fine, but it will be a good idea if you could showcase some more modeling and sculpting techniques as well as part of the environment art. Like, they did this Diablo 4 door sculpt. Let's see if I can find some of them. No, someone did this 3D medieval... Yeah, there you go. So that's the thing, right? Like, the thing about environment art and where it becomes a little bit tricky sometimes is there's so many things about environment art. Is this... I guess that's AI, right? Yeah, that's AI. Fucking AI, man. Contaminates everything. There you go. So, as an... Like, if I'm a studio and I want to hire an environment artist, of course I want that environment artist to be able to do what you did right here, right? In terms of the lights and the materials and the foliage and everything. That's great. Like, it's amazing. It's like if I'm focusing on someone who's good at like the set dressing side of things and the technical side of things for engine, you're showing me that you know all of that stuff perfectly fine, right? The only thing that I would recommend for your portfolio is for you to show that you could also do this kind of stuff, because I think you could. Like, I definitely think you could definitely do something like this, but I'm not seeing it in our portfolio yet. So I don't know if I were to ask you, hey, I need this door for the level. Can you do it? Or do I need to hire another prop artist to be able to do this, right? Ideally, I would love you to be able to do it, right? To be able to execute it to this like quality in terms of like environment creation. But if you can't, well, then I'm going to have to hire someone else. So that's what I would probably recommend for your portfolio, showcasing some more advanced, like actual modeled and sculpted pieces, so that we can be sure that you can execute them to that level, which it seems like you can do though. Maybe just some breakdowns of those pieces. I love this, man. This is so cool. Yeah, that sculpt is great. Yeah, again, it's just nitpicking, man, because you had like a great portfolio. Definitely great portfolio. Let's see. Could you tell when? Could you announce when the portfolio review server is open? So, yeah, we don't do that, and I'm gonna explain why we don't do that. So, as you know, we have like one of the biggest communities here on Discord. We have like 18,000, almost 20,000 members here on the Discord. And if I announced, everyone would be like submitting like immediately, and we would be flooded with like 50 or 100 different portfolios, and it would be impossible for me to go through all of them. So we are rewarding those who are actually looking at the Discord and being like active on the Discord, so that they probably know when it opens. So it opens randomly at the end of the month before the portfolio review. We usually leave enough time so that we can fill from 25 or up to like 30 portfolios, and we can review those. If you've been trying to get into the portfolio review for several months now and you always miss the deadline, you always like miss when the submissions open, then my advice would be try to set up an alarm, try to be a little bit more active on the Discord. And if you want, I do offer one-on-one mentorships. Of course, those are an extra price. These are completely free. So if you want me to spend like a full hour with you working on every single piece of your portfolio, well, that's another option. But yeah, for like this is the fairest way we've been able to figure it out, so that people who are active again here on the Discord get a chance. We do have a rule that people who submitted before cannot submit again recently, so that gives opportunities to more people. But yeah, it's just like the way we've been able to get this to work. Okay, so that's it, guys. I'm gonna stop it right here. Again, we're stopping here with Lorenzo Pace. We're gonna start on Sunday with Manuel. I feel like I've seen your portfolio before, Manuel, right? I think you submitted again like a couple of months ago. You are welcome to submit like after at least 3 months, I believe it's the rule. So we're going to take a look at Manuel's work in just a couple of days on Sunday, and we're going to finish everyone else. So if you were waiting, again, sorry guys that I need to cut it, but if I don't protect my throat right now, I'm going to lose my voice, and then I'm not going to be able to record or do anything for the next week. So we're going to stop right here, and we will be streaming on Sunday. Yes, so Sunday, 9 a.m. Mexico time, we're going to continue with portfolio review. Okay? There you go. Mike, what's up, my friend? Happy to see you here. Tell me about your info Discord list. You want the link to the Discord? Let me share it with you guys. So if you're not on the Discord, let me share a link here. Invite to server. Copy. There we go. We're gonna add, that's the Discord link there on YouTube, and here's the Discord on Twitch. If you guys are not here, you can sign language, imagine it's going like reviewing the portfolio. I'm gonna use an AI voice, right, and just type hello, welcome to portfolio review. We are going to sucks. Anyway, that's it, my friends. Thank you very much. Have a great Friday, have a great Saturday, and I'll be seeing you on Sunday as we finish the portfolio review for this week. If you have any questions, or if you want to drop into the Discord and just like have a great time with more people, make sure to join, make sure to follow, like, share, subscribe. Have a great day, and I'll see you very soon. Don't forget, always learning, always improving. Bye bye.